Hey friends, welcome to Morning Albums. In this video, I'm going to talk about some albums I picked up in September 2022. On this channel, we're going to talk about music best suited for the morning, but I like all sorts of music as well, so we'll also talk about music that's not necessarily morning music. This is just a way to sort of start the conversation. So the first record I want to talk about is Parsons' Grievous Angel. I picked this up at a local record store in New Haven, Connecticut. This is sort of one of my white whale albums. I know I could get albums off of Discogs, but I like trying to find things in the wild while digging through crates. So I'd never come across this, and it's one of my favorites. It's sort of a country rock album, and Parsons was really interested in country music at this time. There's some great songs on this, like Return of the Grievous Angel, Hearts on Fire, Brass Buttons, and of course Love Hurts. Emmylou Harris provides wonderful backing harmonies to Parsons, and Parsons is just a wonderful artist. He was in bands like the Byrds and the Flying Burrito Brothers. Unfortunately, he was gone too soon, but his limited output is phenomenal. I'd recommend anyone try it out. If we're talking about morning music, this is great to throw on. A lot of acoustic guitars, a lot of slide guitar, and of course those wonderful vocal harmonies. The next album I picked up is by Metheny. It's the Metheny Group. This is a great ECM style jazz record which features Pat's signature guitar playing, as well as Lyle Mays really brings some great piano playing and synthesizer to this album. It's a great album to throw on in the morning because it's really bright, a lot of bright guitars, very playful, very uplifting and warm. Just a very nice jazz fusion album. I will definitely be checking out more albums off of ECM, particularly from the 70s, because I'm really liking the style. I have a few other Metheny albums. So Falls, Wichita Falls. The title is really confusing. The Wichita Falls album I really enjoyed. Bright Size Life, I think, is the other one. But I've been really liking what I'm hearing, and definitely you'll definitely see him again, because I'm going to pick up as much of his music as I can, along with the ECM records as well. So yeah, Metheny Group, this one has been great. The next vinyl album I picked up was Jeremiah Chiu and Marta Sofia Honer, and this is recordings from Åland Islands. This is a really interesting record that was put out this year in 2022. It features a lot of field recordings, viola, electronics, very soothing ambient music. I really like it, and the story behind the record is really interesting as well. It didn't even begin as sort of a musical project. They had wanted to travel to the Åland Islands to help a friend and their mother open up sort of a barn-style hotel, as far as I know. And I love the album cover. It's very nice. It has the strip here. And then even cooler, inside the record, or inside the album, is this insert, which I don't think I've ever seen an insert like this. It's almost like it's a little booklet. And within the booklet, there's really cool photography of where they stayed during the project. And then there's a transcript of a conversation between the two artists that talks about how the project came about and just like the atmosphere or the place they were on, the islands themselves. Just very cool. I always appreciate when artists go the extra mile and include some imagery within their albums. And this insert is really, really wonderful. I also want to talk about just the record itself is one of the heaviest records I've ever held. I'm wondering if that's why if they packaged it a specific way. The album cover was in plastic, and then behind it was the actual record. I'm wondering if that's to prevent ring wear, because this thing is heavy. And I have some albums in, like it's popular now to re-release albums in 180 gram, but this feels even heavier. So just like really cool packaging. I love a lot of this type of music, sort of this ambient with also acoustic instrumentation. I was really into Nala Seinfro's album last year, which was sort of a jazz ambient album. So if you have any recommendations for stuff that I might like within that sort of same realm, I really appreciate it. Drop it in the comments. But yeah, this record I'm really enjoying. One of my favorites of 2022 so far, and love the packaging. Great purchase. Next, I picked up this cassette from Rousay, which I'm really liking. Rousay is an interesting artist. She makes these sound collages using field recordings and electronics and piano and guitar. This album she released, and all the proceeds are going to the Trevor Project, which is an organization that helps with suicide prevention for LGBTQ youth. So if you can support Claire and the Trevor Project, please pick one of these up. I'll drop a link in the description, or just if you want to just donate to the Trevor Project in general, that would be great. Last month was Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, so very important to donate to organizations like this that release the information and get the word out to help people that are struggling with mental health issues. But yeah, really cool album. One of the last tracks has a sample from, I read it was a YouTube video of someone talking about their struggles with mental health. And it's just very powerful. And I really wanted to support the cause. So Rousay, I got some CDs, which were, I always like to, I love collecting CDs as well as vinyl. This is Talk Talk, Spirit of Eden. This was released in 1988. Very cool album, kind of art rocky, jazz rock, some chamber elements as well. There's some like strings, some clarinets, some trumpets, great guitar work. Mark Hollis, his vocals are really kind of, this was released in the 80s. So if you're familiar with like Depeche Mode and other sort of new wave bands like that and electronic bands like that, the vocal styling will be pretty familiar to you, but the music itself is a little more experimental, a little more long form. There's interesting percussion elements, and then there's those orchestral elements that I mentioned as well. So great album. I'm not too familiar with Talk Talk, but everything I've heard I've really liked. So I was so happy to see this in my local record store. Then we have Pharaoh Sanders, Karma. I picked this up last month, and unfortunately he passed away. I don't know if it was a week or two later, but this album is very fantastic. It was originally released in 1969. It's a sort of a spiritual jazz is the genre, which is jazz music, but it incorporates more international influences like African music. It's very warm, hypnotic. There's two tracks on this. One is 30 minutes long, and it's called The Creator Has a Master Plan. And at times it's very peaceful, but other times it could be very chaotic. There's vocal chanting. It's just very evocative, very alluring music. I just love it so much. I was happy to pick this up on CD, but I was sad to hear that they passed away. This is kind of the only project I'm familiar with aside from the release that he put out. They put out a few years back. I think it was called Floating Points, or something like that. But yeah, I'm super happy to have this in my collection. And now we're sort of going to transition. Public service announcement. We're transitioning to albums that might not necessarily be considered morning music, but like I said, I'm a fan of all types of music, so I just wanted to shout these out because I also picked them up in September. So here's a couple albums that I don't really know too much about, but I picked them up because I'm familiar with the artists. They have great reputations, and I just wanted to check them out. So the first one is Charles Mingus, and this is Mingus I think that's how you would say it. But I picked this up on CD. Mingus is, of course, a really highly acclaimed jazz bassist. I did one listen of this, and I liked it a lot. Well, I can't wait to return to it. Very cool, very awesome jazz work. And then we have Bill Evans, who is a famous jazz pianist, and this is Everybody Digs Bill Evans. Great. I love Bill Evans from what I've heard of him. I have two albums on vinyl that are I think it's the Live in Paris concert, which I really like. But again, I'm not like super well versed in jazz. This is stuff I'm exploring. So I'm I'm really excited. I haven't listened to this yet, but I'm excited to pop it on and just kind of add to that jazz collection. And then the last CD I picked up is from Florence and the Machine, and this is called Dance Fever. I really love this album. I don't listen to too much Florence and the Machine, but about a month ago, my partner and I were at a local bookstore, and they had a book of her poetry / lyrics on the outside of the store before you went in, and it was marked down considerably to like $10. So I picked it up, and of course, I know the hits. I know the Florence and Machine hits, but I don't know the deep cuts too much. And then I started listening to the new album that came out in 2022, Dance Fever. This is really wonderful stuff. And the packaging is very nice. This actually seemed to come with an insert that has Florence's autograph on it, which is super cool. So I'm happy to have that. But I've been listening to this nonstop, and I really like, of course, her vocals. She can really belt, but the lyrics are really cool too, and they all have this sort of like uplifting. A lot of the songs build and have like almost like a climax. It's just so satisfying. Some really cool lyrics. I love this part in the song Choreomania, where Florence says something, the lyrics, I'm paraphrasing here, but it's like, they say rock and roll is dead, but is that just because it hasn't been resurrected in your image? Like if Jesus came back in a beautiful dress and all the evangelicals said, oh yes. It's just like very cool lines. And then other than her, Florence can really belt them out, but I think her restrained vocals are really cool on this as well, when she sort of goes into this deep, guttural, almost talking tone, and has like a little bit of rasp and just sort of suggestive, almost like sexy sounding, but very cool. I don't think she gets enough credit for just those little inflections in her voice that can be so satisfying and can really uplift a song with a lot of personality. So I've been really enjoying this. It's definitely going to end up on my top records of the year, or top albums of the year. So yeah, check it out, Florence and the Machine. This is Dance Fever. And then I picked up this cassette from the death metal band Tomb Mold. There was sort of short runs of this cassette pressing, and I missed the first two, and I wasn't going to miss the third. So I actually, when I was at work, I asked my partner if she could log in and buy this for me, because I just wasn't able to, and she was able to secure a copy for me. But just really cool death metal. The first track is sort of like an ambient track, and then the second two tracks are just, death metal, great riffs, guttural vocals, all the classic elements of a great death metal EP here. So I really love this. This is, of course, Aperture of the Body. Am I saying that right? Aperture Body. But yeah, very cool release. Love it. And just, I love the cassette itself is really cool. It's sort of clear. It's got this yellow tape in it. Yeah, just super happy with this purchase. And then lastly, I picked up a classic. This is John Coltrane's Ballads. This was originally released in 1963. It looks like this is a 1976 pressing. This album is nocturnal. It's warm. It's just wonderful, cool jazz. Definitely something to put on if you're having a nice dinner and you want to just kind of relax. Great stuff. I was reading the Wikipedia page, and apparently the other artists that he worked with on this album, none of them knew the songs. They hadn't played the songs before meeting up to record this. So they learned it really quick, and they worked on the changes that they wanted to make on the songs, and then rehearsed them really quick, and then recorded them. So it's like a pretty fresh, raw recording, apparently. My copy is a little worn, but hey, it plays really nicely. I put it in and it plays, and it's got the gatefold. The owner of the record store I went to said that they had another version, which I'm suspecting might have been in a little higher quality. Because when I went up to the counter with this, he mentioned the other version, but he said it didn't have the gatefold, and I was like, well, I gotta have the gatefold. So I picked this up. I don't regret it. Great purchase. So that's all the music I picked up in September of 2022. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that subscribe button. I love being able to talk about music, so please drop comments. I'll let me know what you're listening to, what recent pickups you've made that are really exciting, that you really are stoked on adding to your collection. I'd love to hear it. I'm really excited to release more videos and learn more about you and hopefully I gain more followers. This is just very exciting to me. And I also have an Instagram page if you want to find me there. It's at Morning Albums, so very easy to find. And I post little short form videos of music I'm listening to. So thanks again for joining me and have a great day. Thank you.